Welcome to the Juggler's stream. This first one is called Learning How to Juggle number 1. Easy, kid. Move slow. Start with just one. Breathe with it. Feel the pace of it, the weight and shape in your hand. Know what you're throwing around. Let gravity do what gravity does. In time, all that goes up falls back down. I wanted to invite everyone who's listening in the live stream and anyone who's here in person to do a little bit of like a deep listening meditation with me. A lot of the Juggler song is inspired by deep listening and my experience kind of unboxing the way that I am making music and playing with performances. So kind of to like show, don't tell, I want to read Earpiece, which is one of Pauline Oliveros' sonic meditations. It's a series of listening questions, and what I really like about this is that it's kind of a nice way to revisit and check in like how you're listening, not just to your environment around you and staying present, but how you're listening to yourself. Something I really like about deep listening is that there's like this zooming in and zooming out sort of flow to engaging with the soundscapes and your body. So this is Earpiece. Are you listening now? Are you listening to what you are now hearing? And hearing while you listen? Are you listening while you are hearing? Do you remember the last sound you heard before this question? What will you hear in the near future? Can you hear now and also listen to the memory of an old sound? What causes you to listen? Do you hear yourself in your daily life? Do you have healthy ears? If you could hear any sound you want, what would it be? Are you listening to sounds now or just hearing them? What sound is most meaningful to you? I really love visiting this one in deep listening spaces. I think that it's really nice to ask around and hear what sounds came to mind when people think of an old sound or one that is really meaningful to them. Through deep listening and also just kind of doing a lot of writing, I've really revisited a lot of the household that I grew up in for a while, which was a multi-generational house where we had my great-grandparents, my grandparents, and my parents and my brothers all in the same household. And when I listen to the old sounds, a lot of those come to mind. So the beginning of the Juggler song, it goes back to the house. It kind of goes back in time to those older sounds. And a lot of the movement 1 goes over that. So I have the Juggler song broken up into different movements, kind of like a musical score, where movement 1 kind of takes you back into that house. Movement 2 is in the chaos of all of the juggling and all the balls dropping and down. The Juggler song is about being more in balance with the different hats I wear, where too many hats is about having way too much of them. And movement 3 is more about that balance between the old sounds and the new sounds. So I'm gonna go and take us back in time. This is called the photo holder. Old brown piano, once loved by many Morgans, now sleeps retired. Broken, out of tune, it yearns to sing, to amuse again. Olfactory trigger number 1. I remember what the stairs smelled like, but only when I catch a glimpse of its scent someplace else. Don't know what to call it, but beyond nostalgia and home. I'd pay some perfume magician an obscure price if he could pinpoint the word that would allow me the precision to place it everywhere. But mostly I went to walk up those stairs again, the ones I vacuumed while my grandma rocked in her lazy chair with her embroidery, while the dog barked at rabbits in the backyard, between the symphony of pool splashes, giggles, and screams next door. See the skylight illuminated at the top of the stairwell, the glittering popcorn ceiling, the marble walls I helped add paint and spackle, and the way it smelled, how the smell doesn't have a name but always feels like this must mean I'm home. Jane's Little Helper. Would you grab a broom and follow me into the back room? Mind taking the vacuum and running it up the stairs? Please rub my back and use some lotion. My feet too. I believe I have a whisker on my chin. Pull it. Almost got it. Pull harder. While you're in motion, bring my pocketbook to my chair. It's over there in the office. Looking in the cupboard, green beans, far left. Get them? Fold my laundry and bring it into the bedroom. Grab a Tootsie Pop from the jar where there too, while you're there, and get one for you too. Tucked into my office drawer is a pack of Pokemon cards. Why don't you add them to your collection? Those caterpillars are cool, but get them out of the house. Thanks for playing for me. Hearing you play the clarinet is almost as good as hearing you sing. Now please rub my back. No? Oh, fine, you little shit. I think part of why I've gone back to some of these poems about my grandma too is that a lot of the Juggler song is about lifting off shame, about ADHD and divergence. A lot of the time, it felt like just intuitively, my grandma knew how to like flow through that. And being in a house with like 6 other adults, we were basically always body doubling all of the time. So I think I didn't recognize my divergence early on because there's so many people that I always had a body double. There's always like something happening, and that was really cool. But in the process of that, I think beyond that too, there's just a way of communicating that she was really good at. So I'm always losing track of things and trying to find my keys and trying to find where I put something. I've been working on a video project. This one I'm still working on. The other one is a little bit more formed today. But it's about just kind of, if you looked at the door of an ADHD person's life, they're always going in and out. They're always forgetting something. And maybe just kind of going back for that other object. So I'm kind of playing with that in this video here. This is called Finding Number 1. Jane's large hands ground me, one on each of my small shoulders. Our heads head-length apart, but without making eye contact. Okay, now listen. She repeated, again the instructions for the 3rd time. The room shelf in proximity of the can of cranberry sauce in relation to the beans. Before I ran off, repeating steps aloud as my eyes scanned left, right, left, right, left, right. I see the beans, but not the cranberries. When I zip back after a few seconds, she sighs, already anticipating my empty hands. Do you need me to come with you? I shake my head no. She rotates me, as if we are both looking at the shelves in front of us, points to them like a constellation, and hypothesizes about how many cans back as I dash off while she's still speaking, knowing that if I still can't fetch it, she'd come along or explain slowly again. As it's kind of like a little bit working with the juggler's metaphor. As one job goes up and another comes down, they kind of take different speeds. It's kind of like throwing objects into the air that all have a different timing of when they come back down. So some jobs are like, they like happen like almost every day, and some like happen on Saturday, and I have like more time to catch them. But yeah, sometimes it gets a little silly too, and Too Many Hats is a little bit about that. The first poem in my book is kind of a little bit showcasing some of that lack of balance that can happen when you throw too many things in the air at once, and there's kind of a pacing to that. So as this silly video with all of the hats that my friend is helping me pick up off of the ground, I'll share the first book of my poem, Too Many Hats. A goat sitter, abortion patient educator, sound tech photographer, and a copy editor walk into a bar. And the bartender says, "Hey, do you want another job?" And they say, "Nah." I'm exit polling for the election on Friday, organizing the entertainment lineup, watching my friend's kid, and gathering for chaos currently. Maybe next week? Oh, you think so, huh? Yeah, I'll be done remodeling my boss's website by then, just as long as it's before farm sitting and after writing my manifesto. The bartender shook his head. When you came out as non-binary, you realized it wasn't required to be multiple people, right? Anyway, what's your dream job? They laughed in ADHD and says, I'll get to that later. So I was classically trained for music, and for a while I thought I was maybe going to go in a direction with that. But I think that I found it kind of jarring when I didn't have a piece of paper in front of me to tell me what to do anymore. And the Juggler song is also a lot about that, because it's kind of weird to love music so much, but then if you don't have the thing that you perfected and practiced over and over in front of you, to not really know how to make music and make sounds. And when I first started improvising, that was really overwhelming, because I all of a sudden realized I wasn't as confident in my music making anymore. So I took kind of a break from classical music and tried to get a sense of how to be with people and just jam again and just kind of get in touch with my ears again. So that's a lot of the poems are about that too. When I was at university, there was a group of people who were really into deep listening, and I got to meet Stuart Dempster, who is somebody who was in the original deep listening band, and he wrote a poem or an essay that was in the anthology of essays of deep listening, and this next one is a blackout poem of that. So you'll be able to hear the audio in the back. At my university, there is like a church nearby. You can hear trains go by, and he was outside of the conservatory, somewhere where I would also take a break when I didn't want to practice scales anymore, and he was just sitting and listening. And so here's a blackout poem from that essay. A break from classical studies. I decided not to go in the con. I positioned myself so as not to disturb by adding noise. The tornado's sirens started. The train was center stage. Mixed with the Carolyn's second hymn. Phenomenal, their tones beating glissando. In various vehicles. A very special concert. Delightful treasures of sound that I live for. So you can kind of still hear the recording going. I want to invite anyone who's kind of trickled in, if you want to grab a kazoo from the back table. If you haven't, please feel free to do so while you're listening. It looks like maybe you all have them. Wonderful. Love that. All right, so we're in that intermission break from classical music. And I have a series of 3 improvisational poems. This first one kind of speaks for itself about how that experience went. And in the second one, I'll give you instructions here because you can join in if you would like to. And I'm going to even just kind of overplay over the top of the remainder of this audio clip of that Stuart Dempster got with the tornado sirens, the Carolyn's hymn. Improvisation, take 1. We started in silence. When should I sing? You first? Now? You first? Wait. Not yet. Not yet. Wait. Not yet. Now? When? Wait. Should I? Not yet. Not yet. I'm not quite sure when to begin. Not yet. First? When? Wait. Should I? Now? You first? When? Wait. Should I? Now? Sing. You first? When? Should I? Not yet. You first? When? Now? You first? When? You first? Should I sing? When? You first? Should I sing? When? You first? Should I sing? I'm not quite sure when to begin. Should I sing? Are they gonna go first? I'm not quite sure when to begin. First? Should I? Maybe I should go first. I'm not quite sure when to begin. First? Should I? Maybe I. Are they gonna go first? I'm not quite sure when to begin. Not yet. Should I? Maybe I. Are they gonna go first? I'm not quite sure when to begin. First? Should I? Maybe I. Are they gonna go first? Now? I'm not quite sure when to begin. First? Should I? Maybe I. Are they gonna go first? I'm not quite sure when to begin. First? Should I? Maybe No, not yet. Definitely not yet. When to begin. Should I? Maybe I. Are they gonna go first? I'm not quite sure when to begin. Should I? Maybe I. Are they gonna go first? I'm not quite sure when to begin. Oh no. I'm afraid of my own voice. Improvisation, take 2. So for this one, you have kazoos if you want to join. This one is more about what happens when everyone has learned how to improvise and they all think that they know how to do it better than everyone else, which kind of happens. So then ironically people go from like listening to everyone like really well and really good but being afraid of listening to their own voice to suddenly not listening to anyone else at all and only listening to their own voice. It's like the classic progression of improvising with other people. So I'm gonna do a silly example improvisation take 2 with that, but if you want a kazoo at any point during this one, I do welcome you to do that, or sing or clap or hum. Like basically you know what is correct because you know how to improvise better than everyone here. Improvisation take 2. We started in silence. Listen to me. I am starting now. I am starting. Listen to me. And so am I. Yeah, and so am I. Me too. Yeah, I am so brave. Me too. Yeah, I want this spotlight. Me too. Yeah, and so am I. Me too. Yeah, and so am I. Me too. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, and so am I. Me too. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, I'm so brave. Can everyone hear me? Thumb. I'm so brave. Can everyone hear me? I'm so follow my rhythm. Can everyone follow my rhythm? Follow my rhythm. Follow my rhythm. Can everyone follow my rhythm? I'm so follow my rhythm. Can everyone follow my rhythm? I'm so follow my rhythm. Can everyone follow my rhythm? I'm so follow my rhythm. Can everyone follow my rhythm? I'm so I don't like that rhythm. Follow this one. I'm so follow my rhythm. Can everyone hear me? I'm starting. Can everyone hear me? I want to listen to me. Can everyone hear me? I'm starting. Can everyone hear me? We need to end now because reasons. What if follow my tonal center? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I want this to be. I am such a good leader. Yeah, I want this to be. Follow my rhythm. Can everyone follow this one? Yeah, I want this to be. Follow my rhythm. Can everyone follow this one? I want this to be. I want this to be. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so sometimes way too much happens and you're like, I can't even hear what anyone's saying, which I couldn't even tell what I was saying once I had enough levels in, which is like kind of the point. But yeah, we ended in silence. What just happened in between? Improvisation take 3 is kind of like, there really should be almost like 2.5 and 2.6. You don't really get to improv take 2 to improv take 3 right away usually, but we started in silence. The first sound spoke. Sure. Solid. Seamless. Resonating with the collective energy vibrating through every crevice of the room. It bounced from the walls. Rounded corners. Tickled the hairs on our eardrums, signaling synapses that inspired voices, hands, bodies to move. Vocalizing became as easy as breathing. And sound became something whole. Without a cue, the sound dissipated together. Eyes opened, inhaled in a moment of shock, and exhaled as they made in contact with other softened spheres. More aware of each other, we ended in silence. So I've been enjoying listening to soundscapes different since I've started practicing deep listening. This next little video clip was put together by me and Chris Linder like 6 years ago, but it's for one of my poems during the intermission section of this, and it's called The Radiator Song. Screaming at me as I walk into my room. Its metallic hiss scolds me of my open window before I even notice the draft. A sonic reminder that I need no other body. It drums, hums. My sole purpose is to keep you warm. My hands hover over its rib cage, tingling, pulsing, and vibrating with its heat. If I could, my whole body would glow in gratitude. Instead, we share a duet as my lungs exhale, remembering my breath and the energy that I too hold.
This next one is also just listening to the space around me. It's called Waterworks. When my eyes don't. Sitting by the stream, I am dammed up but listening. The underlying current cascades, as alive as I want my body to be. Rush back to me, drown me in your song, bring me home. How many atoms make a drop? How many drops make a stream? When does a stream turn into a flood? My mind is bud, thick and sour, but still I will stay perched on this rock all day until my current is steady. Until I resonate right. I sip its sound, the only medicine that will work. I'm going to go back in time again to some of the older sounds again. I think that it's really nice to be in classical, like different musical spaces where people can kind of flit around and move as they want. When kids can come, I think we sometimes get really nervous about not disturbing by making noise or not making sounds, that we kind of forget that sometimes it's really joyful to get those extra surprise sounds. So this one is called The Sounds of Littles. Formal scene interrupted by a scream, by giggles and wiggles, lifting off a layer of order, opening ears and a new embraced chaos. We relearn to embrace the cries, chuckles, and shrieks from tiny teachers reminding us not to bottle up and store until we're alone, until we're behind closed doors, or until the bottle has been shooken up, unable to hold, until it bursts, or the fizz has all gone flat. Until joy or connection or help is far from where we are, accepting all the sounds that live in our bodies, ready to be heard. I just love when you go to a concert and there's like some kid like making a bunch of noises someplace. I think it's so good. Yeah, the unexpected sounds that we hear when we're places. I've found the practice of deep listening to be more accessible to me as a divergent person, because when you're doing a meditation, instead of like, hey, sit and close your mind of literally absolutely everything, I'm like, that's not possible or relaxing. I'm just kind of like, there's an idea over here, and there's an idea over there, and there's an idea over there. So it's not very easy, or doesn't always feel good to focus on nothing, but focusing on sound has really allowed me to enjoy meditation, and also lift off a layer of shame, because when you're in a meditation in that space, it's not a matter of clearing your mind of everything, but listening also to what your body's doing, if you need to move around, what your thoughts are, as that's like all a part of it. And I've got a few poems in here that I think are kind of fun with how they play with the energy space. I'm going to move into movement 3 of the Juggler song, which is a lot more about being in balance with all of these sounds, the new ones and the old. Sometimes you don't have days, only hours of smokeless summer to jump into Gichigami, skin shimmering under the moonlight, s'mores in the belly, a bike ride, a meditation, a slow walk, a piggyback ride on a trail, a phone call. So that one family member who gets it, who knows fascism is louder now, says, it's not as easy to be queer as when I was young, even though she's 75 and was saying the opposite only 5 years ago, after I arrived from a 30-hour drive to see her, which sometimes feels like days ago when I felt like time was infinite, not closing in on us, but still knew to make time anyway for the glittering bits. We must all be treasure hunters for joy, as our chapters here are short, no matter the circumstances. Much like being in balance as you're juggling, we all have friends who need like a little bit more time before we see them again. Some of them like want to be falling into our hands like every few seconds, and some of them need more space. So this is called attachment styles like houseplants. I always water my plants the same amount, so some of them keep dying, my friend shares. And I shudder at the thought of watering my friends in this way, how I'd drown my friend Cactus if I texted her every day and dehydrate my bud Orchid, who requires a daily dosing of the latest tea, steeped just right. I don't worry about my spider plant friend so much, who is easily hydrated as we come and go. I learn by losing a few from over and under saturation, or from my own dehydration after I fail to nurture the plants that remind me to drink plenty of water. When you're juggling many jobs, it's really important to sometimes say no, and sometimes the magic happens much better when we do. This is called When I Get Burnt Out. I think of Pickles the sled dog, how he kept lying on the ground 1.5 miles into a run despite the harness, despite the team waiting for him to move. How he didn't lift a single paw, his whole body signaling, I will not go further. How now he leads the other dogs into a group howl after every meal, warms in front of a wood-burning stove, and wanders as he wants, living like a princess because he said no. The Fire Song. Firewood isn't dead. Not yet. The dried wood cries one last hymn as its flesh evaporates, leaving ash. Listening to a fire composing its own eulogy is like listening to the forest from which it first came. Snaps, crackles, and pops the way a twig breaks when a critter skitters away. Whistles, whooshes with fast-burning kindling, rolling, splitting, rustling like leaves. Snuggled in front of the fireplace, we brought the outside inside. If not for the clocks ticking and the furnace humming, I'd swear we were sitting beneath the trees. A quick share about these guys. I was doing a poetry reading with Danny Klecko, and he is a baker, and he says that he's humbled all the time when he goes into work because everybody's just like wearing one of these. And I did a poetry reading with him, and he handed these out, and he made every audience member wear them. And at the end, he just had like a bag of all these hairnets, and he's like, I don't know what to do with these. Maybe you can figure out something to do with them. And I was like, I don't know what to do with them either, but he handed them to me. I was like, I don't know. What do you want me to do with them? Juggle? But now I'm juggling them. They were before I got my scarves. I was learning how to juggle these random humble yourself by wearing one of these during a poetry reading and make everyone wear them hairnets. So that's where those came from. The 3 sections of this book all start out with a poem about the piano. The first one being covered by photos. Everybody's forgotten about the piano. It's collecting dust. Like, nobody needs to play on this anymore. The second one, I'm just like mad that nobody believes I actually do want to play the piano. We should tune it. The third one being me and my dad playing as a duet. But really, I think we should have public pianos like everywhere. This is called the Public Pianos in Studio Cafe. Whether it's rugged and well-loved, or regal and well-tuned, caressed with well-practiced or playful hands, any space breathes easier, beams brighter, and sings sweeter with hammers striking strings. It wakes, shakes whatever was weighing heads down before it entered the room. Does it really take much willpower to hoist an old piano through a small cafe door, up off the floor, and onto one of the city's tiniest stages? Or to restore the flats and sharps of her canvas again so strangers can soothe each other with chopsticks and Chopin? How much, when it's always worth it to liberate a free to whoever can haul a set of keys from its dusty corner and into a community's heart? They had a piano in the atrium at Zeitgeist for a really long time, and I think it's kind of a bummer that they don't have it there anymore. But yeah, public pianos are real good. The very final poem in this book is one that's like to my grandma again, and it's called I Learned How to Love from Jane. I have made this into kind of a ukulele song, so I am going to sing it, which I know she would like to, so. As I wake, it feels like yesterday that I was laying in the middle of the floor, getting in the way of my grandma's kitchen. She could have given me a lick, instead she let me clean up the spoon. And I imagine what I'd say if I could see her for another day. After I see her in a dream full of crackers and marshmallow cream, I always wake up too soon. And I learned to love from Jane. I know it's not a memory of mine, but I swear if I could go back in time, that I'd be at the ready to stop that plate of spaghetti Grandpa used to stain the living room. I seldom heard her whine as she helped the people she loved to shine. If she would have saved some of the love that she gave, what else would have bloomed? And I learned to love from Jane. I didn't realize till I was older how much that she was taught to shoulder. As I flipped through a younger Jane, through all their yellow wrinkles and pages of double exposure. Now all that I can do is all that she would have wanted me to, and I learned to love from Jane. Wish I could tell her thank you, thank you, thank you. Wish I could tell her thank you, thank you, thank you. I wanna give her a back rub, I wanna hold her hand, I wanna tell her thank you, thank you, thank you. As I learned to love from Jane. Thank you. Thank you. So we all have kazoos, or maybe you grabbed a kazoo on your way in. I want to conclude this stream by thinking about who you feel very, very loved by, no matter how your divergent traits are coming, no matter what kind of silly messes you're making, no matter what hiccups you have, or if your art, it looks a little like, or you're like doing too many things sometimes because you got ambitious and now you're dropping stuff. Maybe mentors those people, and I want us to all thank those people out loud, but through our kazoos. When I give you the signal, and you'll know what the signal is, say thank you to that person in your kazoo, and then we won't know who it is. It'll be your own little secret, but we'll all hear the joy of that. So all right. Thank you. Thank you for coming to the Jugglers live stream. I don't know what time it is. If our handy dandy live stream attendant could tell us. It's 7:27. Does anyone have any questions about the book or like comments about the stream?
When did you start writing it?
Yeah. So what the question was, when did I start writing it? When I guess so. I don't. Sometimes when we go to like a grieving ceremony, people share a bunch of memories and stuff and all that. And sometimes you go and it's like, this was a person, these are the scriptures, the end. And when I went to my grandma's funeral, it was more like that one. And I was really, really sad about it. I was like, why didn't we all just sit around and share memories? What's going on? And that was a long time ago. But after that happened, I basically just wrote down in my notebook like a list of everything I didn't want to forget. And it kind of turned into this process of journaling every day. And I wasn't journaling every day about that, but I think just kind of jotting things down that I didn't want to forget created me to want to continue to write down things I didn't want to forget that were new, to a lot of that listening to the old sound, listening to the new sound that is really inspired by deep listening too. And actually I took a bunch of those things that I wrote down and I put them in here too. Do you want to hear some of them maybe? All right, cool. It's page 26. Nice. Tables of contents are like such a good idea. Okay. Like actually though. Okay. So some of the things that I wrote down that I never want to get. How her kitchen always smelled of green peppers. The way her laugh smelled like Barney Rubble. The way that she'd answer questions in her sleep between my muted giggles until her snores would wake her up, and she'd agree to things that she didn't remember she agreed to. Very, very naughty kid stuff. Big floral dresses, lavender material, and lavender scents. Her arms hanging out the front window as she chatted with the neighbor across the street. I would rub lotion on her back and sit behind her in her chair for a while and watch cartoons for 3 hours, and yeah. So I wrote down a bunch of those things. But basically, I started writing some of the poems that were in here after that. And then when I started practicing deep listening, I started writing throughout college. And then some of them are really fresh. I was like, I'm putting out a book. What if I wrote a poem this week right before I sent it to the printer? So that's kind of a spectrum. Are there other questions, possibly? What's up? Yeah, so the book is here in person, but I will also put a link out.
Repeat the question.
Yeah, the book, the question for people who are on the stream, so it was, how do I buy the book? So I'm going to have copies at Alt Creative soon, and I'll bring some over to Zenith Bookstore. But if you are far from Duluth, I'll update my website sometime this week and put a link out. So that'll be a way you can get your hands on it. My website is jessscribe.com, but maybe wait a couple of days before you go on it because the internet police are mad at me right now. I need to give them more money. Yeah, so I'll update that this week. Anyone else have questions? Sweet. And yeah, deep listening is kind of cool because a lot of the text scores are basically poems. Instead of having sheet music, it's kind of pretend that you're a plant. I'm not quite, but basically. So if you want to take a look at the text scores, I do have books on the back table too where you can look at some of those musical scores. I think it's really cool how Pauline rethought about what a musical score can look like. So yeah. Anything else?
Where else can people follow what you're doing online?
All right, Joe says, where else can people follow what I'm doing online? So I'm on Instagram as jessscribe.thevibe, but I think soon I want to put more email lists out because I might start transitioning to using my website and an email list more often. So please keep an eye on that so that I don't lose track of you as I maybe ditch certain parts of the internet. Sweet. Thank you for playing around with me with the kazoos for the improv takes. I think that's probably about a wrap. I'll juggle for another second in case anyone thinks of anything else, but scarves are so much better than balls. But yeah. Thank you for the Juggler song live stream in person and online. If you are streaming in from online, thank you so much for doing that. Cool.